Hi, it's Karen, and today I want to talk to you about the ultimate time saver for your mastermind groups. If you're doing mastermind groups, you know that these can take time and you want to be able to make your time as efficient as possible. Just a little bit about me. I support coaches to grow their businesses with ease and joy, looking for the leverage points. My sweet spot is working for coaches who have come out of the corporate world and are working in the business or organizational arena. So I want to ask you a few questions, and if you're listening either live or not, or if you're listening to the replay, just type yes in the comments if you can relate to any of these. So if I could show you how to set up a mastermind group so that the members have a really great experience and they reach their goals and they're talking to others about you and referring others to you, would that be of interest? If so, type yes in the comments. If I shared one simple thing that could make this happen with a lot of ease, would you like to know what that is? If so, type another yes in the comments. And if I could help you learn a simple and powerful technique that could set your group apart from others, if you'd like to know that, type another yes. And if any of these were yeses, you are in the right place today. And before I go into our lesson, I just want to give you a couple things about my own goals when I came into coaching. I came from the estate planning field, and I was working 60 to 70 hours a week, and I had 3 goals. My first goal was to work less hours, which was not hard to do. My second one was to wear comfy clothes, because we always had to be all dressed up every day. And my third was to wake up without an alarm, because I was waking up with that blaring alarm every single day. And all of this happening while maintaining the lifestyle that I was accustomed to. And I'm happy to say I've come to the other side. It has happened. And I know that you can do this too if you have any of those goals. So let me talk about a little bit about how to be really successful with mastermind groups. And the one thing I want to talk about today is have group agreements. This is a big thing to do, a big change for me when I came into coaching from any other things that I was doing with groups. So when you have group agreements, it creates a lot of ease for you as the facilitator, because you have something to refer back to and something that rules and protocols that everyone is agreeing to. It brings order and collaboration to the group, a huge amount of safety, and it keeps group retention high. So group agreements, I'm a big fan of those. When you don't have these agreements in place, sometimes you're constantly running interference between group members. Things are not going as well as you would like them to do. Sometimes group members get triggered by something that another one says, and you have to be in the middle of that. And also, there can be some hurt feelings when these things happen, and the experience is not as smooth for the whole entire group, including you. So here are 3 examples of agreements that you could have in your mastermind groups that would create a huge container of safety. Now, the first one is confidentiality, and I imagine that if you're running any kind of groups, confidentiality, excuse me, it's a little dry in the desert here. Confidentiality is a big deal. You know, what is said in the group stays in the group. Also, part of confidentiality is to be able to share stories of the magnificence of group members without sharing their names or details. So that's one little twist on confidentiality that I learned from the Inspired Learning Foundation. The second example of a group agreement is to have a criticism-free zone. This is so important to create safety. And some people will say, well, if you have a criticism-free zone, then how are you going to allow others to give input? How are you going to allow others to give feedback to people who may want to know what other people are thinking about, especially in a mastermind group? There's a very simple solution for this, and that is speak in I statements. So if somebody says, what do you think of this? You know, of this, let's just say the sales page that I put up, you could say, I love the colors and I would like to see more content. If you speak in I statements, it makes it very safe, and the input is very valuable, and you're speaking from your own perspective. So there's no criticism there. So that's another agreement that really helps with safety in the group. A third agreement is that each group member will practice self-care. So if you need to get a drink of water or go to the restroom or whatever during the group, please do that. And you know, this was a great eye-opening and awakening for me when I came into coaching, and I realized that I came from 16 years of Catholic school. We all took a break together, and if something happened, if you needed something, you had to wait until that break. And practicing self-care says you don't have to wait till that break. You can do things that are right for you. And when everyone in the group is practicing self-care, then there's not fidgeting. There's not somebody that needs to do something and they're not doing it and they're not paying attention. Everyone is able to be as fully present as they can, and they're going to get the most out of the experience of the group. That freedom of self-care will really make a difference in group retention too. So I have a quick story about criticism-free zone and I statements. I was in a group many years ago, and one of the people came in the morning. This was in person, and she had a cold, and she was sniffling, and she had Kleenex and vitamin C or something, and she was just not feeling well. And the person next to her said, well, you know, you should look that up in Louise Hays' book and see what having a cold means and what's the emotional component, what you're going through. And this person that had a cold was just like, oh, I don't want to hear this, you know, and how do you say that in a nice way? And I remember that our facilitator who was using these group agreements, especially the criticism-free zone and speaking in I statements, just said to the one that was giving the feedback, would you mind sharing that again using I statements? And the person said, well, when I get a cold, I look it up in Louise Hays' emotions and find out what's going on with me. And it made everything so much better because she wasn't telling anyone else what they should do. She was just sharing her own experience in I statements. These kind of experiences in groups really set you apart as a coach. When you have that kind of experience where people feel so safe that they can really make that transformation, it makes all the difference. So I want to invite you, if you'd like these few tips, I'm giving a more in-depth training on how to design group agreements in my Facebook group on Friday. And so if you would like to be in on that training, go to www.transitionfromcorporate-to-coaching or look up Transition from Corporate to Coaching on Facebook and apply to be in the group. The group is exclusively for those who come out of the corporate arena or have come out of the corporate arena and are growing their business either somewhere in the business sector with entrepreneurs, with organizations, with leaders, anything like that. That's the conversation for that group, and I'm really going to go over more group agreements and how to introduce these to the group. So that'll be in that group. And if you're watching this and you're not live, get into the group because the video will be there. So I'd like to ask if you have any valuable takeaways that you want to share, if you would put hashtag gold in the comments and share your insights, share your takeaways. If there are any questions that you have, let me know that too. And I'm going to actually do something you're never supposed to do. You're never supposed to give 2 calls to action, but I'm going to give another call to action here. I'm going to break the rules. If you don't want to be in the transition from corporate to coaching, or if that isn't the kind of group and conversation you want to have, yet you do want to grow your business and you're thinking that you might want to start offering groups, contact me. Write that in the comments, put the word groups, and we'll get together on the phone for a quick 15-minute call, and I can talk to you about whether this is the right time for you to add a mastermind group or team coaching to your repertoire and as a stream of income in your coaching business. There are some very specific things. There are some reasons to do it early on, and there's also some reasons to do it after you've had a following. And we can go over some of that, and we can talk about whether this is the time for you to offer groups. So join us in the transition from corporate to coaching group, or write groups in the comments, or send me an email, and we'll talk about whether this is the right time for you to offer groups in your coaching business. All right, so this is Karen Capello. I'm signing off, and I want to say, thanks so much for being here, for learning, for wanting to help others get to their highest potential, and for being a coach in the world. Your presence is really needed, and I'm just thrilled to be a colleague of yours. Oh, and thank you, Virginia. It's great to see you here. All right, signing off now, and wishing everyone lots of success with ease and joy.